What is happening, Blades? Morning. Morning to everybody. Welcome to the Morning Brew. I am, of course, Jimmy. I don't even know if anybody's here yet. I've only just thrown this together. It's not the most followed channel at the minute. I haven't got my light on. Look at that. Oh. But I just wanted to jump on because what a deadline day yesterday for Sheffield United. So I just wanted to know how everybody were feeling. It was one that I thought about doing for Blades Ramble. But in all honesty, we've got a game tonight. Just streams are coming thick and fast. So this is a little bit of a sort of peek behind the scenes as to just a little chat that we'd have as mates anyway. So let's have a look. Who's joining us? Dan's joining us. Good morning, pal. Wow, what a window. Finally some quality through the door. Hope that things can click now. Hope Jamie's not got the cold after his fantastic reporting yesterday on behalf of the Ramble. Yeah, so if anybody didn't catch us yesterday, we did a deadline day special on the Blades Ramble. Going over the deadline, obviously, but we did it as reporters like the old Sky Sports used to do. So I'd love it if we can get more Platinum Ramblers involved for the next window and stuff like that, and more ideas of shows that we'll do. That's what we want to do. We want to get people more involved, and I thought it worked really, really well. I really enjoyed it as a concept, but I hadn't logged on this morning to, sort of bask in how buzzing I was after last night's stream because I thought all the lads did a brilliant job. It's more, I were blindsided by some of the business that Sheffield United did. Now, again, it's behind the Ramble, so just a little bit of a breakdown as to what my day were like yesterday. So Mrs. Ramble started on her first day with us yesterday, and she spent the morning rejigging all the, it's still a long way from how she'll want it, I'm sure, but rejigging all the studio. It got a deep clean for the first time in ages. She's built a desk. She's put a desk up, all her stuff's organized. She's logged on. She's picked up all the emails that I've already sent her. So she were grafting yesterday while I was out of the house for the majority of the day. So early doors, because she now does both school runs as part of this. So I'm freer to do a lot more stuff. So she was doing the school run. I went out to Cal's house, Cal Fowler. We recorded Yorkshire's Finest and the Jimmy and Cal football show. I came back. I uploaded that. I was straight out the door again to Sheffield United. We went to the club yesterday. I had an invite from the Community Foundation to come down and not only see some of the brilliant work that they're doing, which we will be reporting on. I've got some great footage. Bald and Brilliant Lee met me there. And we were both sat there listening to some team from Community Foundation with his mouths wide open. There is so much going on in the community of Sheffield, down to the Community Foundation linked to Sheffield United. Two separate entities as it stands, but all come under the same Sheffield United umbrella. There is so much work going on that we know nothing about, and I think it's really important that we highlight it. So thank you again to John and the team that invited us down. Bumped into John Asquith, who was trying to run one of his courses at Bramall Lane yesterday, and we had to keep cutting through and sort of interrupting. So apologies to my my business coach, who I interrupted on 3 or 4 separate occasions yesterday. But yeah, there's the sensory room, there's the esports, there's all sorts going on that I knew of the sensory room, never been in. It's incredible. And we've got information on how you can access that or become a part of volunteering or whatever you like to do. Esports for some of the kids that are well into their computering, but also it sort of gives them other skills as well. But we'll talk about that another time. So I spent most of the afternoon there with Bald and Brilliant Lee. We also did a podcast on mental health because the initial invite was to participate in this podcast that highlights the importance of mental health and football and how it all intertwines and stuff like that. So I was privileged to be asked and really enjoyed my day. But it left us on a very tight schedule, so I'd not been able to keep up with any of the news. Chris Wilder's press conference was at 2:00. As you all know, I do hot off the presser, so we're always trying to get the news out to you as soon as possible. Batman Lou agreed to pick it up, unbelievably so. Juggled his working day around it. Thank you so much to Batman Lou for picking that up. Did a great job. I watched it on the way, or I listened to it, should I say. I didn't watch it, obviously, while I'm driving. But I had it playing through my speakers as I was driving home yesterday from the ground. absolutely brilliant from Lou, who is in debit, I believe, now with his family credit, largely due to the ramble. So I apologise to Mrs. Walker profusely. My apologies. So there's again a great job done by Lou. I then got in at like 20 to 6, and Mrs. Ramble had my tea on the table. Unbelievable, isn't it? My tea on the table. I had to wolf that down because we were live at 6. So that just gives you a bit of a whistle stop as to how the day went for me yesterday. In terms of, I'd heard little murmurings, and then I got a message at about 5:30. Yeah, it would definitely before we went on air. 5:30 to say Calvin Phillips is done, subject to all the paperwork getting rushed through in time. So I knew that it was likely it was going to happen. We knew that we had Jamie Dumpling live at Shirecliffe, which was just an unbelievable touch. Jamie offered to do that. What an absolute legend. Top man, Jamie. So, yeah, we did the stream, and it was absolutely fantastic. But I didn't come on to discuss my day yesterday. It's more explaining why I want to get on today a little bit and discuss the business that we did, because it blindsided me completely. I knew that we were talking to Joe Rothwell. It had originally broken down, from what I understand. Again, take this with a pinch of salt, because I'm not as close to the club as I once was. I've consciously distanced myself because some of you may remember in the summer, I got some vile abuse on social media for reporting something that was absolutely bang on. But it was seen as I was trying to orchestrate something or something. And I just took a step back and thought, if I have no influence on what goes on at the club or any transfers or anything or any, but I suppose I can affect people's perceptions from time to time. So in terms of transfers, we've consciously taken a step back. And even though I love the transfer window, I think it's one of the most exciting parts of football, I don't want to be directly involved in the storm of it, if that makes sense. So I'm happy to discuss deals when they're being overtly rumoured, when they're being obviously completed, we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to be ITK. This is where whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now it's been and gone. I can tell you the things that I have been told was that Rothwell was definitely on earlier in the window. We certainly made inquiries as to Reyes Cleary. That might be one that we revisit in the summer. Look, if Sheffield United don't get promoted, which at the moment is most likely, Calvin Phillips won't stay, obviously. Joe Rothwell will now as a permanent signing. Does it mean that Gyro doesn't commit to another year? Or are we just safeguarding ourselves in case City Peck gets taken? So, look, there's loads of things buzzing around in my head that I sometimes feel it's really helpful just to dump out to you guys, and then we can go through it in our own heads. So as it stands at the moment, in fact, I can't do this off the top of my head because we've too many players now. We already talked about a bloated squad. Let's have a look. I just had an email from John Asquith, which distracted me. Let's get this player squad up. Teams. So goalkeepers now, have they even got the additional players in? No, they haven't on the squad list, but I will obviously talk you through them. So goalkeepers, we've got Michael Cooper, Adam Davis, Luke Faxon. Those are the three. Those will see us out to the end of the season. Luke Faxon didn't get a loan move, which is unfortunate, but you've got to hope that he's involved more in the first team mix next season, whether that's as the number 2 or whether we bring in a strong number 2 and loan Faxon out and bring up another youth goalkeeper or something. Faxon needs minutes to make him more competitive. And I think I am slightly disappointed at the goalkeeper situation in that regard, because I think other than Michael Cooper, we're not really confident. If Coops goes down, which we've seen he's already been vulnerable this season, it does leave us a little bit light. But this is us being greedy, isn't it? Jaff Tanganga, these are in number order. So we've got, let's see if I can do it in a different way. So right back now, we've got Femi Sariki, Kiana Hoover, and Jamie Shackleton's classed as a defender, and they have him as a right back when that's the case. You've got to imagine, I don't know the contract situation, but at the end of the season, again, let's talk worst case scenario and Sheffield United don't go up, because we have to look at how we've safeguarded the club for the longer term as well. So let me get Dan's comment off, because we've moved on for that. But so 3 right backs, We're going to try our best to hold on to Femi Siriki, but he will be hot property in the summer. I wouldn't bet against trying to get Keanu Hoover back either on loan or on a permanent if Siriki goes. But as it stands, Siriki will stay. Shackleton might stay. I think he signed a 3-year deal with us. Might stay, but he's barely been seen. Barely been seen. So I think that's somewhere we need to look at in the summer as well. So there's a goalkeeper on the list in the summer. There's a right back on the list in the summer for me. And then we have to monitor the Siriki situation. Tanganga's going nowhere unless somebody comes in with a huge offer. Tyler Bindon will return to Forest. Ben Mee, I'm not sure, will be renewed. I think, was he 1+1? Might have even just been 1. I think he's 1+1. And McGuinness, who's contracted, but I don't think he's fancied, in all honesty. Would not surprise me at all to see a big turnover in centre halves in the summer. I think Ben Mee leaves, potentially, unless he's kept on as a 4th. I think McGuinness will be touted out. And I think we'll look for a replacement for Bindon. If not Bindon himself, if we're going to be a championship side next season. Left back, Sam McCallum and Burrows. We've now got Hjelde in for the season. Sam McCallum out injured for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks, which takes you into, April time. It's not good news for McCallum. He's missing most of the rest of the season, if not all of the season. So Hjelde's come in as competition for Burrows. I'm okay with it. I'm not blown away with it. Would have much preferred Dennis Sirkin, who is out of contract in the summer, and I think could have battled to be our starting left back. So we'll have to wait and see. Does Burrows attract interest in the summer? We'll have to wait and see. Midfield. This is the really interesting one from the hang on, let me just double check something. Actually, I'm just distracting myself here. But this is the really interesting one from yesterday. Did Matos get his move? Because there were a deal sheet in for Matos. I don't think he did. Let me have a look. Alex Matos, just quick Google. No, current team, Sheffield United. So there was a rumour that there was a deal sheet in at Rotherham for Alex Matos where we would have subsidised his wages. But as it stands, Sheffield United's midfield options. Ole Arblaster. Let's go centre midfielders. Jibril Samari. Tom Davis. Alex Matos. Sidi Peck. Jairo Riedeveld. Calvin Phillips. And Joe Rothwell. 8 centre midfielders. 8. Okay. What are we doing? If that's not bloated, then I don't know what is. Look, there are caveats to this. I would have thought we would have terminated Samari's deal. We haven't. But I think that's due to Jairo being currently injured, Tom Davis being always injured. Apologies, Tom, but that's the way things are. And you know it, unfortunately, as well as we do. Ole Arblaster coming back from a significant injury as well. So that's potentially 3. You're working with 5. And we wanted Matos out anyway. So you've got to look to the summer in terms of long-term planning for Sheffield United. I mean, this season, if we talk about this season and what it means for the rest of the season, Calvin Phillips has to be in contention to start if fit. We're told he's fit. I think we've got to give a nod to Patrick Bamford for helping get this deal over the line. He rejected Premier League offers to come to Sheffield United because he wanted to be closer to home. So Calvin Phillips, at the peak of his powers, is the best midfielder at the club now. I think that's probably, it depends. You can argue in terms of technical ability with Gus Hamer, but Calvin Phillips is a standout at this level. He was named England's best player in 2021, I believe. Mark Meldrew was saying yesterday. It's an unbelievable coup for Sheffield United, this in the Championship. I know he's had some loan spells that haven't worked out for him since he moved to Man City. But him and Joe Rothwell. So Joe Rothwell's had a disappointing spell at Rangers, but he was outstanding at Leeds last year. Was it last year? It was last year, yeah. It was outstanding in a rotated midfield for Leeds, and a deep lying midfielder that can carry the ball, set piece specialist. I think he's this. I've got, as you all know, a lot of my mates are Leeds fans, and they. I've been getting messages about Rothwell is a great signing. And I sort of said, yeah, but he hadn't really pulled up any trees at Rangers, so we'll have to wait and see. And they're like, no, trust me, at Championship level, he's proven, and he's a really good signing. So I'm excited about that one. I just don't know where they all fit in. Ollie Arblaster, baller. I don't care whether he's 80%, 90%. Wait till he's 100%, and then you're going to struggle to get him out of the side because he's such a good player. Sidney Peck, you've got to think with the signing of Rothwell, we are preparing for bids for either Ollie or I would say, just because of Ollie's injury issues, I would say we're more likely to be fielding bids for Sidney Peck in the summer. So we may have to set her out to Sidney, which would be a huge shame. Jairo Riedeveld, his contract does actually expire at the end of the season. We have got an option to extend it, but you can't think he's going to be on big money. So it may well depend on who we can get out as to whether we can renegotiate his deal. Tom Davis, I think, leaves at the end of the season. Samari will return to his parent club. Matos, we will do what we can to get out of the club. If that's the case, that leaves us with Ollie Arblaster. Obviously, Calvin Phillips returns to Man City. That leaves us with Ollie Arblaster and Joe Rothwell, potentially Jairo. And we might have to look again at somebody else, might we? Also in midfield, we've got Gus Hamer, who I think gets sold in the summer. Is that somebody, Gus playing on the left currently, is that a deal we look at in the summer now for Reyes Cleary, potentially, if we sell Gus and go back in for Reyes Cleary? This is all worst case scenario. We don't get promoted, but it is the most likely scenario at the moment. Callum O'Hare, I think, stays. Absolute baller as well. Andre Brooks, we'll have a fight on to keep him, by the way he's playing at the moment. I think we'll try and get rid of Chong. I think we'll cancel Ogbenny's loan deal and he won't come back after this season. I think we'll try and sell Tahith Chong, like I say. There's all sorts of moving parts here, but we've got such a chunky squad this season now. Pat Bamford, we know he's here for another year, which is brilliant. Tyrese Campbell on the same deal now as Bamford, essentially, not in terms of monetary, but in terms of length. So, unbelievable. Danny Ings, I think we set her out to end at season. Tom Cannon, how does he fit back into this system now that we've moved back to a 4-2-3-1? Gus keeps his place. Cannon did a good job as a lone striker in a difficult role. I just think I'm really excited at some of the signings we've made. I can't believe it's so unlike us as a club. And let's be honest, it's financially irresponsible what we've done. It's exciting as a fan, but it's financially irresponsible. You can't get away from that. We've signed Calvin Phillips. I know we won't be paying his full wages, but even a portion of his wages. If he's on 150 grand a week, I don't know if my maths are right here, but if we're paying 20%, are we paying? We'd be paying 30 grand a week. Just paying 20% of his wages if he's on 150 grand a week. I think that's about right. Maths teacher's probably shouting at the screen right now. So Thom says, morning, mate. Hope you're well. Proper enjoyed last night's stream. Ended up being quite a good deadline day, didn't it? Unbelievable, mate. And I loved the stream. Absolutely loved it. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, by the way, please do. We are about 30-something away from reaching that 1,000 subs. And if you've seen the video I've done previously about Mrs. Rambo, you'll understand why. We need to get this channel monetized as soon as possible. Morning, Jimmy, and Up the Blades Ramble, says Matt. Seriously, though, once it's monetized, we do have some ideas for it. There's a couple of things I've put out into the ether, and it won't all be football focused either. There'll be other things that we discuss. But morning, Matt. Hope you're good, mate. Will the plug socket says, morning, Ramblers. Still laughing at Merkin to Derby. Breaking news. That was so funny. So funny. And Gazza's face. He took it so well, but he was like, unbelievable. Chris says, great show last night. Mr. Dumpling was a traffic reporter, a football reporter, and even a weather forecast. But well done to all. Really enjoyed it. I have to say, I thought everybody did well. But Dumpling is the one who went that extra mile, to be fair to him, but he's the one that's getting the praise this morning from a lot of people. They enjoyed his performance and his commitment to the cause. That was Dumpling's last stream with us for a while. I said last stream with us. He's still a Platinum Rambler. He'll still be as eligible as anybody else to come on all the shows, but he's on the reverse clock now, isn't he? So who knows whether his body clock will be right or anything like that to still participate as much as he does. He's going to us for a couple of months. We wish him all the best. He has been an absolute joy. He is an absolute joy to be a part of this channel. We've adopted him as the Ramble's adopted son. So, yeah, top man, Jamie Dumpling. Ian says, good morning, Jimmy. Groundbreaking stream last night. Knocked it out of the park, mate. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes, do you know, it's been weird. It's been really weird. And this sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet. So tell me in the comments if I am. But I just feel like we've been really lucky with a lot of things that we've done. And I am the furthest thing from being a creative genius, but the Blades Ramble was a name that I came up with. I was scrambling around for ages thinking about names for a channel, and the Blades Ramble, it was just one that I settled on, really. And I was just like, yeah, because I wanted something that protected me as well. This goes back to, I suppose, my insecurities. I know that I can ramble on for ages. So if I call it the Ramble, then people can't point the finger and say, Jesus, that lad just rattles on and on. That's the whole point of it, really. So there were the actual name of the channel, which my dad sort of looked back to and sort of shakes his head saying, I can't believe how well it works. Three Mardy Blades was something that I came up with pretty quick as well, in terms of we knew that me, Dave and Paul wanted to do a show together. And it's got a nice touch to it. I don't know why. It's a Yorkshire thing, being Mardy. Three Mardy. I loved the whole thing and last night felt like it was only a couple of nights ago that I thought, I love Deadline Day. How am I going to do a proper? I'm not sure. My problem was I'm not sure United are going to give us enough to have a proper meaty show on, and I can get the Ramblers on, and I can do it as a call-in show and stuff like that, and see how people are. But I thought, well, on Ramble FC now, we've started widening our palette and covering the Championship and the Premier League. So it very nearly was a stream on Ramble FC. Very nearly. And I'd have every justification to put it on there, but I do feel like, you all know what I feel like about the Blades Ramble. And it was going to be Sheffield United as the main topic as well. So we decided to put it on Blades Ramble. I wanted to get some Platinum Ramblers involved. So I spoke to people and got them together, put them in a group, and then we had a draft on Behind the Ramble where they picked their teams. Man Mountain got Monk on and didn't report on his teams that I picked for him because I did stitch him up, to be fair. But then he did us a great service yesterday by covering out Premier League. And I just thought they all played their part brilliantly. I absolutely loved how it came off. So, yeah, I think we've been pretty lucky, to be honest, on some of the decisions that I've made. It just seems a couple of them seem to have been home runs, and not all of them. There's loads of things that don't work, and we move on from them. But Thom says, the left back from Utrecht. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. Rich says, morning, Jimmy. What a day that was yesterday. Great stream last night. Caught it this morning and late to get to work. Sorry, pal. Can any of the signings play tonight? Not sure. Up the Blades, up the Rambles. So we did say, I think we touched on it yesterday on the stream, but if they signed before 12 o'clock, usually the cutoff is 12 o'clock the working day before. So if they signed before 12 o'clock yesterday, then yes, they can play. So Phillips and Rothwell are definitely not eligible, I would say, unless things were done before. Like it came across as there were late deals towards the end of the window. We never know with clubs, do we? But I don't think Phillips or Rothwell will be eligible. Hjelde, it depends on when he signed his paperwork during the day as to whether he can be involved in the squad. I wouldn't expect him to start anyway, but he could potentially be involved if he signed before 12. Wouldn't shock me at all if none of the three are in the squad tomorrow and then they're all involved for Middlesbrough on Monday. That's Thom. That's it, Thom. Got me good all them reporting. Statman Jack says, morning, mate. Serious coup yesterday. Lots of jealousy out there regarding Calvin. Not everyone has the Chris Wilder pull. Excited to push on now. Looking forward to the summer build, no matter what the league. Well said, mate. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Rest in peace, Sky Sports Deadline Day. You guys dethroned it yesterday with ease. Thank you, mate. Hopefully you can get involved in the summer. Big T says, morning. Calvin Phillips, still can't get my head around that. Game changer. Big T, excited for Calvin coming in. Yeah, me too, pal. Me too. Chris says, hope Jamie enjoys his time down under 3 months. Wow, must be paying him too much, Jimmy. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. We're paying way too much. Jamie Dumpling is just, he takes advantage, to be honest. Jack says, for me, the business would have been 10 times better in the summer. 2 really good signings. However, we need players to hit the ground running straight away. but they haven't played. Phillips was played 7 minutes. On the positive side, it shows intent from the owners and backing of Wilder. Rothwell is a good signing for next season, gives us a strong foundation in the summer, and we won't be left with the Sousa. Is she again? Do you mean situation again? Something like that. Andrew says, morning, Jimmy. Does the Phillips and Rothwell transfers mean that Gyro's injury is worse than feared? And did Matos leave? I don't think Matos has left. I've just checked, Andrew, and I can't see anything to say that he has left. Gyro's injury, who knows? Who knows? Hamstrings are always a nightmare, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was out longer than first feared. I think Tom Davis has probably got a little bit more to it as well, if I'm honest. Does Gyro not have a +1 in his? Yes, he does. Sorry, I meant to say that when I was talking about Gyro. Gyro's contract ends at the end of the season, but he has got a +1. And I think I went off on my own tangent there. He has got a +1. It may just be a case of seeing who we can get out as to whether we extend him financially. I mean, in terms of he certainly has the ability to stay and be involved in the first team. It might just be a financial decision as to whether, like, if we can't get rid of Matos on 18 grand a week, then we might not have the budget to keep Gyro for another. If Gyro's on 30 grand a week, for example, we might not have that budget. We're no longer a parachute team next season, of course, if we're still in the championship. Elliot says, great window for the Blades. Just feel a bit gutted that we signed no wingers. I think Brooks is great, but don't think Chong or Ogbenny are up to it if he gets an injury. Fair. Matos could still go to a different market like Sweden, Jimmy, says Statman Jack. AIK did have some bids knocked back. Interesting. Bids? Oh, I thought it were loans that we were looking at for Matos. Interesting. Mark Meldrew says, good morning, pal. Oh, he's magic. You know, Phillips the Yorkshire Pillow. If that's not ringing around at Middlesbrough on Monday night, or even tonight at Oxford, I will be there. Then we'll have some stuff to say. Phillips has vision and a pass that no one in the champ has, says Aid, the Leeds fan. Thank you for joining us, pal. I love it. I love it as a signing. I think the potential for it is huge. I'd seen him linked like with other Premier League clubs, like bottom end Premier League clubs. I know Leeds are always linked with the return for Calvin, and you see a lot of their fans sort of saying, loved him, but we've moved on. I think that's probably right. I think he's probably one of those at the moment who isn't, his confidence levels means he isn't good enough for the Premier League. But if we can get him rolling again, there's every chance that he could get to levels that we've not seen for a while. Meldrew says, hope you're well. Looking forward to that match tonight. Could be good to catch up. Old man can't make it tonight, so hopefully catch up. Yes, mate. No problem. We'll see you in TP, no doubt. Will says, would like us to revisit Suter if McGuinness goes in the summer. A 60% Suter is a better option than 100% McGuinness for me. No comment. Obviously, depending on how he looks back end of the season. Paul says, morning, Jimmy, mate. I love this morning brew stream. Barista cappuccinos all round. We now have Leeds United legend, ex-Marcelo Bielsa, class in our Blades squad. We were going to rip the league apart. We are a little bit. There were some Leeds 2.0 comments coming in, which I think we will struggle to shake when we've got Shackleton, Bamford, Phillips, Rothwell, and there's another, isn't there? I don't know. There's five. Do you think your predicted squad changes for tonight then, Jim? No, I don't, Tom. I don't. Tom, I called you your proper name then. I don't, Tom. I don't think they're going to be eligible, if I'm honest. Batman Lou says, morning, mate. On paper, the squad has leveled up, and we have incredible depth in midfield for this level. It's not played on paper, though. Names don't win games, and we have to knit it all together up the ramble. Completely agree. It says, Jim, it's reported that United are paying 45k a week to Calvin, 30% of his wage. Won't surprise me. And again, I know Bald and Brilliant Lee might not agree, but I class that as backing from the board. I know that they've made mistakes. I am not a trust the board will get it right kind of guy, because we don't know enough about them. We know they made some disastrous decisions in the summer. Disastrous. But since then, I'm not sure we can criticise anything since. And I'm not saying it makes up for the decisions in the summer, because it's unravelled our entire season. But I don't know what else they could have done, to be honest. They're paying somebody 45 grand a week in champ. if that's the case, then it's back in. Hjelde, I believe, signed on Sunday, mate, says Thom, but don't quote me on that. I would, even if that's the case, I would still expect Harrison Burrows to start tonight. So he might make the bench, Hjelde. I'd be surprised if he goes straight into the lineup. Abby says, Wilder said left back can play and he may come on. Interesting. No need to apologise, mate. She's a secret rambler as well. She loves it. It just means I get more jobs on top. That's fair. That's fair. It's a balancing act, isn't it, Lou? Thank you again, mate. Appreciate it. Dave Morwood says, morning, Jimmy. Got me coffee. Great deadline signings. Now the Blades trust the gaffer. Up all the rambles. Up the Blades. Up the positive 6. Ian says, morning, Jimmy. Brilliant stream last night. Many thanks to all involved. I can't always make evening streams due to work, but it was good to make last night. Like and subscribe. Up the ramble. Thank you, my mate. Chris says, Jimmy, why don't you do a video with one of the Sheffield United way lads? It will make a good video. I have suggested this. It's not always up to me, mate. Jack says, I think with the quality that Calvin and Rothwell could bring in, they could find the good runs that Cannon makes and isn't usually found. Just a thought. Up the Blades, up the ramble. Good news for Blaster, says Joe, as he can recover at his own pace. I agree with that. Rothwell is technically amazing, and Phillips can be a real destroyer. For me, the best combo would be Peck and Phillips or Gyro and Rothwell. Interesting. And Lou says, laugh so hard on that stream, my sides hurt. Dumpling sliding back into shot at Shirecliffe. I know. Mel drew his box office as well, he says. I were really pleased with everybody's contributions last night. I thought, fantastic. Gaz, we're waiting on Calvin Phillips and Joe Rothwell being confirmed for Sheffield United. I'm getting waves like this. Whoa. Tom McIntyre, the 17-year-old at Portsmouth, has terminated his contract. What are you doing, Gaz? That is Gaz to I love that. The intricate details that is absolutely fantastic. Calvin also moves into a third centre-back position when fullbacks make the runs. Yeah, we've seen Siddy drop in and do that a couple of times. So for Calvin Phillips to drop in now and do that, yeah, made a nice gift for you. Dumpling sliding into shot if you want it, Jim. Thank you, my mate. Rich is finally catching us live. Nice to see you. I think, no, it's not. It's Mark. Oh, my word. It's because Rich is Eastburn. Summer. But Mark, are you catching us for a live for first time in ages? Thank you, my mate. Right. I just wanted to jump on this morning and discuss that. So I've got to the end of the comments. I am really chuffed with that deadline day. Really chuffed. Mountain, I better hold my microphone up because you couldn't hear me then, could you? It's as if it weren't plugged in. Unbelievable. That's just rambling it, but we love it. And thank you to everybody for who makes these channels what they are. And those lads on stream last night are a huge part of what we do. So absolutely loved it. Really excited to see what we do now, second half of the season. It wasn't going to be intended to be a big long stream, this. So I just wanted to jump on, gauge the feeling. I've got another busy day ahead of me, but I will be at Triple Point tonight, which we always are. Everybody's welcome. It's not a Ramblers exclusive thing. Come and say hello to us and have a chat with us. And then we'll be on to the game tonight. And there's a watch-along. There's a watch-along for the game tonight with Man Mountain. So, again, other people doing the bit for the channel, which I really appreciate. So we'll call it there. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade.